Sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host Pez. I'm here with Sauce back in the studio, ready to talk AFL footy. And Sauce, you'd be happy with round 17?
Happy with round 17. Cats are on top, Pez. An absolute fantastic Friday night game of football. But before we get into that, Pez, speaking of great games of footy, let's change codes a little bit. How good was State of Origin last night?
Yeah, State of Origin's very good at the best of times with the 3-game series that they've got going on. But it was the deciding match in Queensland, packed house on a Wednesday night, Sauce. And I have watched State of Origin for many, many years. This was probably one of the most intense games you'd ever seen. It was close. It was all of that. But I've never seen so many errors from the high intensity. Just dropped balls, forward passes, knock-ons. It was pretty ludicrous.
It was pretty ludicrous, and it started off, pretty crazy with a minute 20. They're already throwing fisticuffs in there, bringing back the biff, a nice little scuffle, which, it sort of died out of rugby league a little bit as it is, but great to see. And then I think that the main part of the pressure and the perceived pressure and that, the high intensity, that second half. 10 minutes after the second half had started, turnover galore. And not even just like forced turnovers, unforced errors, showing how high intense the game was and the perceived pressure and how fatigued these blokes were. And it's great to see that they're playing such an intense brand of footy when they're not attached to any money, club-wise, and they're risking their careers, and they're just doing it for the jumper.
Yeah, and we spoke about it in the past of why it wouldn't work in the AFL, too many individual teams, but State of Origin's been a big thing and built through the whole code. And I was saying last night to people, like, this game here is bigger than the NRL Grand Final that will come later in the year. So the decider, massive. You've got biased commentators from both sides who've played for Queensland, who've played for New South Wales before. It's just a good environment, and if you're a Queenslander, you would have been super happy. If you're an AFL fan, not many AFL fans actually Sauce, and probably fans of the show, I don't think would be huge fans of the game in itself, NRL, but I think a lot of them would have tuned in to watch the 3-game series. You
don't think that AFL fans are? I feel like if you're an AFL fan, generally stereotypical, you're a Victorian, and Victorians embrace all sports, Pez, and they, I know you and I are avid sport fans. We follow anything, and I think people would jump. AFL fans jump on the rugby as well.
They do, but in the workplace, on Twitter, when people are talking about the different games, there's not a lot of people that love it. You get the one odd person that will just love it. They'll love Melbourne Storm. They go to Melbourne Storm every week. They'll actually froth rugby because of the successes that it have. But you wouldn't find as many fans of rugby, obviously, as AFL.
But the State of Origin, you're right. It is one of those. It's a spectacle. It's an event. It's one of those things that's midweek. You can tune in. We've had it in Victoria a couple of times, and it's a great spectacle to go to. And we've talked about it a couple of times. The AFL have tried it. Why doesn't it work, Pez? Why doesn't it work in the AFL? Or is there a way that they can sort of start to... I'm not trying to create history out of nowhere and heritage and that, but it was fantastic last night. It's a spectacle. Imagine having that same intensity as a grand final mid-season. 3 times. Oh, love it.
Clubs are paying ridiculous amounts of money now for players. There's 7-year contracts, 5-year contracts even. And the clubs do not want to risk their player getting soft tissue injury or any sort of injury, doing an ACL, going and playing not for their club and not paying them for what to do. I know the NRL embrace it, and the players will miss out on club games to go and play this during the middle of the season. In AFL, it's frowned upon. That's not going to happen.
So why is AFL the only sport that doesn't do it? You look at NBA, they've got their All-Star game and they've built into their contracts. You look at the MLB, they have their All-Star game, and the conference that wins gets home advantage in the what do they call it, the World Series. You look at the NFL have the Pro Bowl, rugby league's got the State of Origin. So why is AFL the only code where the money and contractual obligations are the thing that's the restriction?
I don't have statistics on this, but I'd say that AFL is probably a higher percentage chance of injury And strange, if you were just watching the game, you'd think NRL would be with all the collisions that they have, but
it's not a 360 sport.
But it's not a 360 sport. So AFL would be the highest chance of any sort of injury. You've got the NBA All-Star game where they don't really play defense. They don't.
They're starting to bring it back now.
They don't take it that seriously. In a couple of minutes here and there. The MLB. Now I haven't been a big MLB fan for a while, but ever until this year, I'm a massive MLB fan. Source, as you know now, and they're going to have the All-Star game coming up. And you wouldn't want your player getting injured or pulling a hamstring running between bases and things like that. But there's a lot less chance of injury on the baseball field than there is on the AFL footy field.
And then there's big stakes too, Pez, because as I mentioned, fans might not know this, but the winner of the Midsummer Classic is what they call it. It's a great name for the All-Star game.
Look, I didn't know this either until you told me.
Yeah, so the winning, whether if you're looking, I guess, the Queensland versus New South Wales, if the Queensland team wins, and any team within Queensland make the grand final, they have home ground advantage. So the conference that wins, they have that home ground advantage if they were to make the premiership, and that's really big in a sport that moves around, and it's a 7, 9, 10 game series.
No, they used to have the Victorians, the South Australians, or the All Stars that you'd call it. Would you do origin of where you come from, or all the 10 Victorian teams, the best players, versus all the 8 non-Victorian teams, and the winner gets home ground advantage? You can't really do that because the MCG is contracted to the grand final.
I've thought about this a little bit, Pez, and I think that what you could do is maybe bring it back to starting to bring it into their carnivals. So like it's a 5-year plan, I guess, and you don't have the winner takes this and the winner takes that, but you could, clubs could save a bit of money by building that into every single person's contract. So instead of they're all chasing these 7-year deals, maybe you could put in there as, we'll pay you less money, but we'll have all these clauses in there. If you make the game, whatever, you'll cover this, and if you play in that game, you get a certain bonus. So the clubs in the long run would actually save money because they built that into their top 5 or 6 players, knowing that they're probably not going they're probably not going to all make it, so they can save a little bit of money that way. You build it in from the under 16 carnival, and then you say, right, over the next 7 years, that under 16 carnival, you're going to play this year, then the under 18 carnival is going to play. Most of those people get drafted, so let's have a rookie version of it, and then after that 3rd or 4th year, you've built in some trend into it, and you can start to get in the sophomores, and then over the 10-year plan, it just builds into the regular aspect of it. Not trying to convince players now that have been playing for 5 or 6 years who are risking injury, build it into the ones coming through.
Not for mine. Just no. Straight up no. Because even some of the terms you use there, Source, too American.
What?
Rookie, sophomore.
First year, second year.
Not in our game.
Sorry,
and
there's a rising star and then the second rising star.
I don't think if there's no incentive, it's not going to work.
It's built into their contracts.
I think there's going to be a one-off between 7 and 10 years. There will be a one-off type exhibition type match, but I don't think it will get to those stakes for a very, very long time. Unless you bring back, what was that? AFLX. Bring back that. Wasn't that fantastic?
Jeez, that was terrible, Fez. That was terrible.
Hey, it made Melbourne into a premiership team.
All right, well, let's talking about teams that probably aren't contending for a premiership and talking about some other news around this week, Pez. Really surprisingly, North Melbourne have pulled the pin on Noble after probably their closest performance in the last couple of years, taking outside their wins. And it's really surprising for my mind the way the media has reacted, and not so much the sacking. We knew that someone had to go in one of these things because you have to make a reactive statement. The media for so long has been sitting there going, something has to happen, something happens, and they sack Noble, which is the natural first move.
You're going to talk about the media love for Noble this week?
Oh my God.
What is going on?
All they've been calling for his head and them to do something, and then straight away they're like, oh, well, he's inherited this list, you can't expect him to fix it.
The same people that wrote articles about him saying he's the problem, his relationships, he can't get his message across.
He's a good guy.
No one likes him. And then he's like, North Melbourne haven't done David Noble very well. He'll get another job in AFL.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
I think what the media need to be doing is, I think when a team, I think there should be some sort of clause out there, Pez, and obviously this is a little bit of a throwaway comment, but if you're declaring you're in a rebuild comment, you shouldn't be allowed to be spoken to about priority picks and about how bad you are as a club for 3 years. You get 3 years of a leeway because that's roughly what it is. North Melbourne 5 years ago, they made a prelim 5 years ago, Pez. And within the last 4 years, when they've declared their rebuild and they've shifted their list, all they've copped is this flack and they're no good. Who expected North Melbourne to win more than 4 games over the last 3 years? Anyone?
Surely no one.
So how is he not performing? Is he not performing? What's the gauge? What's the growth?
Well,
It's an odd move for me.
the 40-plus losses and all of them in a row, I think that built up the effort, the North Melbourne looking like traffic cones, some of the players' things, but it always falls back on the coach. He didn't get sacked. He resigned on the Tuesday.
Oh, piss off, Pez. We've talked about this so many times.
Brad Scott poured it in and it's still going. And
so does that mean, you know what the worst thing is about that? It means that his contract doesn't get paid out. That's all that means.
Yeah, but there'd be a signed deal.
Because it wasn't his choice. He got tapped on the shoulder.
After meetings on Monday, he's decided to resign. I wonder why he decided to do that. But if you're going to be the next coach of North Melbourne, Alistair Clarkson was talking. Alistair Clarkson's not coming to coach.
Not unless they're already getting shipped to Tassie.
And if you're a new AFL coach and
why
you don't go to North Melbourne yet, go to North Melbourne when the new coach gets sacked in 3 to 4 years. Because when they get sacked, they might have built up something and the players might have grown and you might have a decent sort of list where you can maybe try and contend for finals. So don't be the next North coach. Be the one after that.
But look, I don't understand. Who's taking this job? Who takes this job, Pez? Because the way that they treated Noble over the last couple of years has been horrible. He's been in the media. He's been, his relationships have been blown out of the water. We haven't heard anything about Adam Simpson and his relationships. We haven't heard anything about Adam Simpson. A lot of people had West Coast sitting, towards the 8, and no one has mentioned anything about his job. Why is North Melbourne this dumping ground that the media is? Who's going to take the job? How can North Melbourne rebuild as a club if the media are going to dump on anyone that takes that position? I don't see, as a first-time coach, you're not taking this job because it's the graveyard.
The AFL kind of need to step in here. So Alistair Clarkson worth $1.2, $1.5 million on the market. Mm-hmm. Okay, give him $3 million
and put him in there.
Offer it to him.
But the coach doesn't change the club there. Like, is that what the problem is? Is this what North Melbourne is saying? Is that we brought in a guy for a review, and in the first week of the review, he's out the door. Like, so it was obviously he's the problem. So we're expecting them to win this week. Is that, or they'd be closer than a 6-point loss?
Oh, it's all dependent. Each week to week, you're playing different sides as well. But on that point, Source, if you you're sacked from that. That was loud.
Oh, that was loud. So apologies. The little the Jamison and Dry there, Pez. Sorry.
Look, new sponsors on the show.
Yep.
Actually, VB's still there.
You got the VB shirt on there. The very best, Pez. Yep. Sorry, we're trying the new Jamison.
Jamison Smooth Dry and Lime, 1.9, 6.3%. Premium, sir. Very
cool.
Good.
Let's not wreck the flow of the conversation here about North, Pez.
No, we don't want to speak about North, but you're losing by that much. Your coach is out the window. AFL have to step in and kind of get new CEO, new things like we spoke about last week. And it's amazing when you speak about something and the next week it happens. So they're out there listening.
I just think that whoever's running North Melbourne are in disarray. Because the fact is they've brought someone in, and in week 1 of a formal review, they've given him not even 7 days, and they've already pulled the pin. How can he evaluate what is happening if that person that he's evaluating part of the process is gone?
That makes sense, but maybe they're looking at making those changes now. So they're.
But how do you know what the changes are? He hasn't even been able to see the result after a loss.
They're working on it behind the scenes, and they're saying, all right, this is what we're doing, this is what we're changing with the gameplay or whatever, and they're moulding someone, whoever is that caretaker coach at the moment. And then after that, at the end of the season, they've either moulded someone for the position, they're putting someone like Clarko in there, or they're getting someone highly respected, and they're changing the top end of that football club because they've been so poor for so long.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting... Yeah, it's an interesting circumstance because every time we talk about North Melbourne, it seems like they continually make the mistakes. It seems like, is this a good move for them, or is this another mistake that they've made?
Well, nothing can be a mistake because how low can you go? Can you just, instead of losing by 40 points every week, can you lose by 10 goals every week? Like, we're used to North Melbourne getting flogged. We're used to them not winning many games. And we're used to them being percentage boosters for the top 8 sides, where Collingwood weren't able to take advantage, and North 26 points up at three-quarter time. Probably could have taken that game.
And North played out of their skin. I think that a lot of things went right for them. And you look at the game plan that was implemented, some of the things that Noble probably should have been doing earlier on in the year were very evident. He had, Goldstein in the ruck for most of the game. He wasn't starting up forward. They had...
Davis Uniacke in the middle.
Oh, Just a clearance machine.
He's going to be a very, very good midfielder for a top-end team in a couple of seasons.
Yep, they had Mackay down back, which he's been playing out of position the last month or so.
Well, he won a Coleman medal the year before, and
Wrong person, mate. Wrong person.
no, same person, definitely the same person.
Nah, your whole theory upon the
Has it
different
gone?
people-
Has it?
Yeah, it has.
Why? What happened?
What do you mean?
What? Have they ever been in the same room as each other? No, they haven't.
The Morris twins, isn't it? That's your whole theory based off the Morris twins.
Yeah,
isn't it,
the
from
Morris
NBA?
twins in the NBA. No, the
Same
Mackay-
tattoos? Same
Mackay
tattoos?
twins. Oh, I don't know. I haven't looked under the jumper or under the shorts.
Oh, the Morris tattoos have the same. The Morris brothers have the same tattoos as twins. That's sad.
Well, they don't because it's one person.
All right, Pez. So you've got Patch Adams taking over them this weekend. They take on Richmond. Are we seeing an improvement? Obviously, the first coach first game bump. They get the win, don't they?
No, well, you can't
They get the
see
win.
it. You can't see it happening. What's the line going to be? It's
Line-
probably going to be plus 60, something like that.
Lions 48.5.
48.5. You'd
And
say
Melbourne-
they'd give that a decent crack.
And North Melbourne's next win to come against Richmond is 675, or you can back them just head to head, and they're paying 750.
Jeez, is that a ridiculous market? Then?
They've got North Melbourne's next win out here. Richmond $6.75, Hawthorn $5, Essendon $6, Sydney 15, Adelaide 10, Gold Coast 15, or for them to go with no wins the rest of the season, $3.
$3. Ridiculous. We are a punting podcast, which we'll get into our amazing bet slip later on in the show source. But we're sick of talking about the
losers of the competition.
The losers holding up the bottom of the ladder. Let's talk about the top end. And I don't want you to give me, go through all 8 teams or whatever, all the teams that are good. I want you to give me a small handful of teams who is a competitor who can win the AFL Premiership in 2022.
I've got 4 teams that can win it.
Yep.
I've got Carlton that I think they can win it. If they get their best 22 on the field and what they've shown, I think they've got enough juice in there. I think their game plan's pretty solid. They've got solid lines across the field. I think Brisbane can win it. They put everything together. I think Melbourne can win it because we're seeing the history where we know of that. And I think Geelong can win it. I don't think Fremantle can win it unless they book in a home final. But even then, they've got to travel to Melbourne to win it against a top quality side. I just don't think that they have that experience at the moment.
So you've got Geelong, who is sitting first, Melbourne, who is sitting second, Brisbane, who is sitting fourth, and Carlton, who are sitting fifth.
Correct.
All can win it. So you're writing off every other team. Now, I'm writing off most teams there. Obviously, Melbourne have a really good chance. I think they can win it. I think Brisbane can win it, but they need to show a little bit more heart, and they need to perform to their potential. I agree with you. I don't think Fremantle can win it. I don't think this is the year for Carlton. I don't think they can put that together.
Close though.
This season, I don't think they're going to compete for the premiership, and I'll have Geelong as a smoky. I really wanted to say no about Geelong. I haven't rated them in the last sort of 5 weeks as a footy club, and they're going to be playing away from Alphabet Stadium, so. You'd say no, but if you got Jeremy Cameron and Tom Hawkins, I know they're nearly in an aged care home in AFL terms, but if you got them on your team, Dangerfield in the middle, you can win a final.
Of course, you can win a final, Pez, but if you look at the stats in the Chris Scott era, 70% regular season wins, 40% finals, and that just speaks volumes. That they don't play in finals well. They are playing with the formula this year, resting a lot of players, putting a lot of, trialling things and a lot of youth and resting players. Will it work? Probably not. But on that list, and they're sitting top of the ladder, only 4 losses, you have to say they win. But I'm only saying they can win, Pez, because they're sitting top at the moment, and they're my team.
Yeah, so I'm going to say Melbourne, Brisbane.
So 4 teams, Melbourne and Brisbane, you're taking Geelong out.
Isaac Smith's there, so I'll put Geelong in.
Because
his run has been fantastic for his age and what he's done. He's been a great recruit for them.
Oh, really good recruit. I was actually really dubious about him when he came across, but we're not a Geelong podcast, Pez. We spoke about Fremantle not being able to make it. It's a huge jump for them, obviously. They made that jump from 9th. We know that every year one team that not jump from 9th, they made that jump from 13th. We know a team that comes from that bottom tier of the what's that, middle 4?
Just competing for the 8.
Competing for the 8 always makes that big jump. Not this year, but you think they've got enough pieces to be able to back it up next year. We know that Mundy gets another year older, Fife gets another year older.
Look, they've done really well with their list management. They've lost Chera, they lost Lockie Neal years ago, and they've been able to fill and do that. Brayshaw is having an amazing season as a midfielder there, and they're bringing up all these players that are actually playing their role perfectly. Rory Lobb's having a great year. There's talk him coming back to Melbourne. He's dyed his hair orange or whatever it is on the weekend, which was kind of strange. But rumours around there, we don't like talking about different rumours of where players are going. But Sean Darcy, a high-quality ruckman. Alex Pearce is a defender. If he can stay on the park, is also high quality as well. So you don't hear much about Fremantle in the Melbourne media source, but we have to keep an eye on them. But that's probably why we don't rate them in the end either.
Oh, it's not that I don't rate them, Pez. I just don't. I think they've taken that gradual step, and I think their list is a lot younger than Carlton's. So when both of those teams have taken that gradual step, I had to pick one of them.
If they play in a prelim, it's a pass mark for me, for them.
Oh, I agree, but totally. They didn't play finals last year, Pez. They make finals this year. That's a pass mark. It should be the pass mark. But obviously now they're sitting third. They've proven that they can win in Melbourne a couple of times at Etihad against some medium teams.
They've got all those games at SBS Stadium. They should have a major advantage to finish top four.
Finish top four. They should be straight to a prelim.
Yep.
It should be the end of story, Pez. Speaking of end of story, let's get into this week's bet review.
Soft review. It's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
Geez, how could I forget about the bet review source? We know on gambling Twitter, the reviewing of the bets aren't always popular with all these people on Twitter. But here at Behind the Bound, we have reviewed every one of our bet slips for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And we've had 4 years straight of winning, and this is about to be the fifth.
Yes.
Because we are going very, very strong. So on the weekend,
that's not the reason we've reviewed them, Pez. Let's be clear with that. If we had 5 years of losing, well, we probably wouldn't be doing the podcast. But we still would have reviewed them. We had a down. We got close one year. I think it was our third year. We got really close to a down year. We just scraped through, and we still spoke about the losses every week. And it's all about accountability. Yeah,
you have to speak about the losses. You have to speak about the wins because you actually learn things from it, Source. Yes. And you're not going to win. You're not going to win 100% of your bets.
No.
And I'm sick of these piss poor excuses of the team didn't kick straight or I had a really good read, but this didn't happen. Yeah, you might have thought you had a good read, but you didn't because you didn't win. So let's have a look. Geelong versus Melbourne. There was a lot of, $1.92 a piece at the start of the week, and Geelong taking on Melbourne. I see you had a green tick. I had a green tick as well.
Because had a really good read on this one, Pez.
Oh, really good read. Geelong 1-39 for me. And then plus 1.5, plus 37.5, because I just thought it was 1-39. I thought it was a good bet. I didn't think they were going to beat Melbourne by 40
No one did. And what? Up until the fourth quarter, that wasn't going that way anyway.
And $2.47 for that boosted 2 units on that, and to bring in the 5 units back.
Yeah, I had 2 units on Geelong head-to-head. When you can have a team that's, you rate as much as the other team and you get a home ground advantage, you take that money every time. You'll see that.
Did that pay out at halftime?
Paid it at halftime. No, it didn't pay it at halftime. No, it didn't. And then I had the money line special. The money ball special. Tom Hawkins or Bailey Fritsch to kick a goal in one of the first 4 goals. Bailey Fritsch kicked the first one in the first minute 26, and I was watching the game on delay, Pez, and I thought in the back of the car driving home from the pub on delay, and I'm like, delay? I can't believe I am watching this game on delay, and we're going to get belted by 30 points because they kicked 2 goals in succession, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I've watched this.
Yeah, what is happening? Geelong turned it around. It was a decent night there.
It's great game of footy though. Just Geelong aside, great game of footy.
And at GMHBA down there, they're building a fortress, as we know. Sydney
fortress is built, Pez. The Alphabet Stadium.
It's not built. There's a stand empty.
In terms of the fortress, you come to Geelong, you expect a loss.
I'm not talking about fortress.
Not talking about the Gold Coast fortress that we've been talking about for 10 years.
Speaking of really good reads, this wasn't a good one for me in the next game. Sydney taking on the Dogs. The Dogs super disappointing in this one. I thought it was going to be a lot closer. Mm-hmm. I missed out on the Dogs plus 36.5 in this one, which it was no good. I couldn't do it.
It was no good at all, Pez. Last week I spoke about the Bulldogs and how I thought that they were actually a sort of a decent team, and I thought they had a good chance against this. That's why I went with the either team 1-39, but Sydney just came out firing. Western Bulldogs couldn't get a touch in the first quarter, so that was a loss in terms of my multi, but I got a bonus bet. But I had the free money, Jack McRae, to get more disposals than Callum Mills, $3. It was looking a little bit tight early on, but he pushed away early easily.
Yeah, and if Jack McRae's one of them, $3 to get more disposals than any other player in the AFL, you take it.
Take it.
And I can't take it at the moment because
banned from Moneyball.
realised this week, Moneyball, Pez is
one
no
of my
more.
favourite moments of the 5 years of the pod, Pez. that moment right there when you realise.
It was no good, but I also got a bonus. The only leg out of the 4 I missed was the Bulldogs at the plus line, and that was gone very, very early on, so no good. Moving on to the Collingwood North Melbourne game, and any bet I put on in this one would have been a good one because I was all over the North Melbourne line last week, 58.5 or whatever it was.
60.5.
I ended up finding this gem on Bet365. North Melbourne over 3.5 scoring shots in the first quarter.
Loving it.
They kicked 4 goals within, 11 minutes of gameplay and 2 goals in the middle. That was $1.91. Put a unit on it and got it back, was happy with it.
Yeah, and Pez, I was all over North Melbourne last week. I said that, I think that line is way too big. I had over 52.5 points. I said they still score a heap of points, so that'll get up. North Melbourne get up. Missed the Collingwood minus 24.5. Got a little bit greedy in there and tried to boost up the odds. I thought they would still get it done by 4 or 5 goals. They probably could have in that last quarter, but
they were down by too much, 26 at
They were down by
time.
too much. They rolled over the top of them. They should have probably put on that performance in that third quarter, but a bonus bet for that one, Pez, a loss of 1 unit, but I'll get that back this week.
I'll tell you, then the next game.
Oh, love it.
The next game.
What a game of footy.
Gold Coast taking on Richmond. Now, there might be a green tick on my bet, but I was actually very disappointed in the result because in most of the footy tipping competition source, I'm sitting first, second, and then Richmond Gold Coast was a big one because Richmond were the outsiders and Gold Coast were the favourites. So a lot of people usually just go with the favourites. So a lot of people were picking the favourites, and I was going to shoot ahead in a couple of these leagues with this tip, especially getting Geelong on the Thursday night as well.
Pick that one.
And 2 minutes to go, Richmond up by 11. They led by 40 points in the game.
40 points in going into the fourth quarter, Pez. There was about 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. They're up by 40 points.
And Gold Coast. They've done it again to Richmond. It wasn't. It was Carmichael Hunt.
Carmichael Hunt with the Gary Ablett story walks past and says, "Hey, I think you've done your hammy there, haven't you? Let me kick it." But no, this is one of their great wins, Pez. A huge
their
comeback,
greatest win,
probably the greatest win.
Yep. Greatest
up
win
at the Fortress.
In their Fortress. So I had over 146.5 alternate points and under 196.5, so a 50-point gap, hit that. And then Richmond plus 9.5. So I must have put that in there subconsciously because I didn't want to put them to win outright. I just wanted to give myself a little bit of insurance and it helped there at the end. So that unit came back with a little bit more, so I was happy about that.
Yeah, speaking of units, Pez, I had 2 on Gold Coast just to win, and I thought that was going to absolutely throw my weekend. I was spewing about the North Melbourne game, and then sitting at the pub, a trend with me when I watch the footy, sitting at the pub, having a Palmer for dinner, and everyone in the back room of the Union Hotel going nuts when he takes that mark and getting up and about.
What a kick for goal.
Huge.
Beautiful,
huge.
big,
so
massive
I had
kick.
2 units on that one at $2, Pez. That was a great double up.
And Source, saving your round on the buzzer, like a buzzer beater to save the round.
That's the way I live, Pez.
How good's that? Next game was pretty boring, St Kilda versus Fremantle, because we didn't have any bets.
Pez, you know what's funny? I actually I didn't have a bet, and when I saw the result of this game and I was sitting there watching, I went to send you a text message, just saying, "Oh, it's a good game of footy," and then you guys collapsed. I actually thought that I had a bet. I had a bet in my personal account and didn't put on the pod. So I'm sitting there, I'm having what a great round I'm having. But yeah, steered clear for this one.
Oh yeah, well, very good. Fremantle 40+ point win in Melbourne, very good for them. Port Adelaide versus the Giants. I also didn't have a bet in this one.
I just did clear this one, Pez, but the read I had last week was sitting there on the line for the GWS Giants. I'm off them forever.
Oh, you like the Giants? You're off
Not
them?
anymore. I'm off them.
Forever?
They can't make the finals, Pez. You heard it here first.
You're going to have to repaint the town from a couple of years ago.
They can't make the finals, Pez.
Oh, okay. You finally admitted it. We knew that.
I mean, they are sitting 13th with 5 wins, but you heard it here first behind the boundary, putting a line through
We're heading into round 18. They've got 5 wins, and you're finally
done.
Them off.
They can't win it from here.
We knew 8 weeks ago, mate. The next game was Brisbane taking on Essendon, and surprised a lot of people. But Brisbane, they had outs, but there's no excuses because the amount of players that they did have. Essendon won in the centre of the ground. Jake Stringer was very good. Every time Brisbane actually got a goal or a couple of goals, Essendon would take it straight out of the middle. Peter Wright would mark it up forward and he'd smash through a goal. And it just kept happening time after time after time. The first quarter was very, very slow with very low scoring, 3 behinds to 2 behinds at one stage, and there should have been so many more goals. But I had Zach Bailey for 15, over 152.5 points. So both of those had it. And I had Brisbane to win by 18 plus, but Essendon ended up winning by 10 points in this one. And Brisbane challenged them. They got back even and they could have ran over the top. But credit to Essendon, who season's over, but they're starting to win games.
Yeah, they're starting to win games at the wrong time for punters, Pez. These are the ones that we meant to pencil in there. They're not going to make finals. This is why you're trying to get a little sneaky little draft pick there. They've really screwed me over 3 weeks in a row, Essendon, and I didn't bet on them in this game. I didn't bet on any bets in this, but they screwed my multi, Pez. Really, really screwed me.
We'll speak about that. The next game, Hawthorn versus Adelaide, and this was a blowout right from the start. I had the very, very wrong read. I put an alternate Adelaide minus 19.5 at $5 there, Saucy, a unit on that. So that was dead in the water after about 5 minutes of gameplay because Hawthorn performed and they didn't collapse like they have against quality opposition earlier on.
Yeah, Pez, I got 1 from 3 in this one. I had Jordan Dawson over 25 at disposals. He got his... actually, no, I didn't even get that as well, Pez. So I got all 3 wrong. Terrible read. I'll wear the loss on my bonus bet. So no loss.
Oh, we were wrong. Okay. West Coast versus Carlton. Now, when I saw this line source, I loved it.
Oh, great line.
2 units, Carlton minus 14.5. The line closed just before the bounce at 19.5 Sauce, and I still love that. Looking good at quarter time, 34-0. West Coast came out, kicked 5 goals in the second quarter, but then Carlton in that last quarter, they ended up winning by 10 goals plus. It was just a demolition.
Actually, really, really interesting game, this one. In terms of just the interest in terms of the actual the game summary, I guess, the way that the match unfolded, Pez. I haven't seen a team go scoreless in the second quarter or first quarter and then pile on 6 goals straight.
It looked like they were a decent side in that second quarter when it was happening.
And then the third quarter happens and Carlton just run over the top of them. You know, the fourth quarter they play again.
That scares me about Carlton, and that's why I haven't included them, because they can have lapses like that against a team like West Coast. I know there was, hype. Kennedy kicked his 700th goal, so congratulations. Did you hear what the bloke in the presser asked?
No.
He said, so I think it was to Michael Voss. Do you think the Josh Kennedy trade...
Oh, actually, I did see this.
Was worth in the end. Michael Voss is sitting there going, "What the hell are you talking about? I just came to this club this year." Like,
I saw a similar stat with the they were doing the Peter Wright trade about who have they won the from the picks that he got from this and that and the compensation, and it's like
both sides won.
Both sides win. Why do we continually do this, Pez? And
the Josh Kennedy thing. How many years ago was Judd? 2007, 2008. 15 years ago.
Why are we still debating it?
Judd captained the club, won a Brownlow. He didn't take him to the promised land, but...
I mean, Kennedy got the premiership, so I guess West Coast won it.
Oh, West Coast won. I think Carlton won as well, because Josh Kennedy wouldn't have got a premiership.
Do you know who won? Vizzy won. Vizzy ambassador.
Vizzy, they're very, very popular thing. Now, my multi was no good, not only with Richmond, but with Brisbane as well. So not even a bonus bet, so 2 units down the drain there. Yeah,
I had 2 units. Pez, as I spoke, Essendon screwed me. I had Geelong, Gold Coast, which I'm sitting there licking my lips, going into Sunday thinking, you little ripper, there's a nice little $4.30 2-unit multi, and no.
You know what I like? I like that you just wear it. Just wear the loss.
Oh, no, I've got a list of excuses. Can we go through them?
Not on this podcast.
No
you can start your own podcast to talk about excuses. Let's get into the round 18 bet slip.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now bets with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
oh yes, yes, yes.
Now, Pez, you just said that we don't make excuses, we don't go through that sort of stuff, so I don't want to hear any excuses of why you can't give the money ball specials this week.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang!
Mate, are you kissing Moneyball's ass because your units that you're up this year is all from Moneyball?
And I'm not the one banned. You haven't used them once and you're banned.
I've used them maybe a couple of times, but I don't know why I'm banned. But let's go through the special. Sports bet returns all matches this round for people that are eligible, me not being one of them.
Nope.
Ladbrokes, the 3+ leg same game multi, 1 per day. So just be careful if you want to use that. Only 1 on the Saturday. 1 on the Friday, 1 on the Sunday. That's all there is this week. They've got $2 lines. They've got a mega multi source, 4+ legs that you can go. 1 loses. Now I saw they've got a Mates Mode exclusive.
Mates mode.
Mates Mode. So you join up with your mates, you can text on there, you can make bets. They give you the Mega Multi, but it's 3+ legs.
Oh.
And if one fails, you get a bonus back. So interesting there if you've got your Mates Mode set up on Ladbrokes. Ned's $2 lines, early payout at halftime 20+, and 3-leg same game multi only on the Friday night game, and then the games on Saturday as well. Bet365, they've got the multi-bet offer where you get higher percentage. They've got the early payout if your team goes up by 32 and then loses. It's rare, but it can happen. Tab head-to-head special, 3+ legs. They've still got it. We love it. We're always going to use that head-to-head special there. There's only 3 legs you've got to choose. They've got 4+ legs in their same-game multi, and they've got Thursday Night Lights head-to-head special. Now, I rarely go to the shops. I went to the shopping centre. Guess what I walked past? I walked past the Tab.
TAB, venue mode.
I couldn't stay there for too long because I was in a bit of a rush. I had to go. And
Been there as well, yeah.
I finally worked out how to do it. It's a top left corner on your home screen, and you got to touch it. And I activated venue mode.
Oh yeah.
And that's all I did. Put the phone in the pocket, went to the
did you
car.
get anything good or?
I didn't.
venue mode, there it is there, yeah.
I didn't even look at it. But
what other venue mode specials this
they've
week?
got the Thursday Night Lights, and they've also got the leader halftime. And
stock standard ones.
Pay you out, yeah. Now, Moneyball, I've only got the same game multi offer for $3 odds, but I couldn't see anything else. I tried. I don't have my alternate account set up yet, so I need your help.
Will come in and save there, Pez. I actually not going to be using Moneyball this week. I actually not a big fan of them. They've got 3 specials at the moment up there. You know, you go onto their Moneyball, the M specials, and then you go to the all.
Oh, I do that.
Oh yeah, no, just confirming that you've done it properly.
Oh
yeah. So they've got McRae and Steele to combine for 60 disposals. That gets you $3.
You need McRae to have what? 35, Steele 20? Yeah,
well, they've been averaging for the year just so that people can work it out. Jackson McRae's averaged 31.6 for the year and 27.6 for Steele. So it's probably
averages aren't everything, but
you need him to have a big gun.
Yep.
McRae to have 40 or whatever. And the second one's in the Cats and the Blues game. Cameron Guthrie and Sam Walsh, same deal, to get 60 or more disposals, paying $3.
Guthrie's disposals has gone down from a couple of seasons ago, so I think they're trying to take advantage of
Walsh
of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same sort of thing, Pez. Walsh is averaging 32.5, and Guthrie is 26.5. So you just need him to get 30 and them to get.
He would have
30.
been over 30 plus.
Last week he was. He had an absolute cracker last week. And the other one they've got, Pez, is the first goal scorer bundle in the Bulldogs versus Saints game. Max bet of 50. Aaron Norton, Bontempelli, King, Gresham to kick the first goal, $3.
That's going to be hard for Norton to kick the first goal considering he's not playing.
Yeah, it's going to be real hard, isn't it?
And out on this Thursday night. Blue Bet as well, Source. They've got the early payout as you informed us for the rest of the season.
Yes,
12 plus. So if you've got a head-to-head bet, go Blue Bet. They've got their multi-bonus and their footy bonus offer. You'll see it on Twitter at Behind the Bound. There, go and have a look. Add any specials there because I'm struggling to send them into the intern. Especially when I can't see some of the specials there, Source.
That's what happens when you ban, Pez. That's what happens when you ban. All right, all the specials done, Pez. Let's get into the money-making aspect of the pod.
Oh, I cannot believe, we haven't spoken about the highest thing, and I think...
Pickle bet.
I think we should be speaking about it because we spoke about our round, but we didn't speak about our units
I
in,
can't
units
believe
out.
we can't believe we didn't get to it.
And our season. So people are probably listening to us going, oh, there's a few green ticks there. How did they go? How are they going this season? Are we actually doing any good? Because we're speaking very confidently.
Pez, that's how much we're not fazed by it. That's how winning is just a culture here, and we're just used to winning. We don't even address when we have a win.
No.
So we should, though.
we should definitely.
We normally do, actually. It's just a little bit poor forming on the media manager here.
No, we actually should. So 17, I had 11 units that I staked in the end source. Returned 13.12 units for a profit of 2.12 units. So you got profit. You're happy. For my standard, I'm not that happy, but we'll go to the year. 163 units staked, 236 units returned for a profit. This is pure profit, 73.13 units for the season, which is huge.
Loving that, Pez. If you multiply that by our 25, you are looking very, very nice over there.
Yeah, thank you.
No problems. Mine staked for round 17, 9.8 units, return 10.6, a profit loss of 0.8 units. Pez, we celebrate all the time the wins, and that's what it was. Staked 123.04 units for the year, returned 152.5 units, profit loss for the year 19.76 units. Pez, so both positive, both in the win, all green from here.
Yeah, some cheap weekends at the pub for you with those 19 units, which is good. You don't have to go into the savings, which is amazing.
Nah, never go in the savings bet. It's always into the sports bet account. There we go. And despite being as much time I do at the pub, still can't activate venue mode. Too drunk.
I just want to know what some of the listeners are picturing with what you look like. You're at the pub every single AFL game.
Every single AFL game.
It sounds like
3 out of 4.
And you love Geelong, so it's probably not a pretty picture. People are.
Oh, you sent a picture to me the other day on the TV, the bloke on the TV that looked like me.
Well, where were you? I
was in Gold Coast.
You're in the Gold Coast, and I'm
pub,
on the TV, and I see Source at GMHBA Stadium. That was you.
You'll tweet a photo out, Pez, I reckon.
They don't know what you look like.
Well, then we don't do that. I'll tweet out the photo, all right?
All right, you tweet out whatever you want.
Good one of Chris Hemsworth there. All right,
beautiful.
All right, get into the first game, Pez, of round 18. Western Bulldogs taking on your Saints. $1.63 favourites are the Bulldogs. $2.25 outsiders, the Saints. -7.5, Pez, over 170.5. The game's played at Marble, Etihad, Telstra Dome, whatever you want to call it. Pez, can your Saints do it after a dismal, disgusting third quarter, fourth quarter?
As the listeners, geez, we talk a lot of shit on this show sometimes, don't we? But they're still here ready because they want to listen to the best part.
What do you mean, talk some dribble? I was just describing what happened last week.
Just ramble. I can say, wipe that saliva off your microphone there. That's
Saliva
that's
on the
no good. Bit of dribble.
I actually checked the microphone. I thought it was stuck in my beard or something.
No, but let's talk about this game. We have to talk about some of the ins and outs because Aaron Norton is out with the health and safety as well as
I've bet on him for money line.
As well as Josh Shackey. Lockie Hunter, another notable one as well. Josh Bruce comes in for the first game since he did his ACL. Bailey Smith comes in from his headbutting suspension as well as his drug suspension from the AFL.
His headbutting suspension. What,
headbutt
his nose into the the coffee table?
No, it was into Zach Tui. And
I should have got more.
Ben Long's been omitted. Seb Ross is probably a big loss, health and safety protocol. Ben Patton, Cooper Sharman come back in. Not notables for people that don't follow St Kilda very closely. But I've put a little same-game multi together. Now, these two teams are travelling terribly. They are not in really much competition for the finals. Loser is probably out for the season of the final 8 because they do both have not the best runs home in terms of where teams are sitting at the moment. But I was going to back St Kilda at $2.40 earlier today for the win, but I went on Ladbrokes, 3+ legs. I get my bonus back. I've put something together that gets me to $2.40, but it doesn't include the Saints win. It includes the Saints $2 line plus 8.5, so it gives me that little bit of leeway of an 8-point loss can still get the win. St Kilda plus 44.5 on the alternate line and over 140.5 source. So I'm enjoying that. I'll put 2 units on it with confidence, and if St Kilda, say, lose between 9 and 44 points, and it's over 140 game points, I can still get a bonus back from the 2 legs.
Yeah, Pez, I like what you said there about the it's a line in the sand for the season sort of game for these. Look at the AFL app. The AFL's already crossed you off there, St Kilda, Pez. They've put the line straight through St Kilda there.
What are we sitting, 9th?
You're sitting 9th, but a really tough run for both teams. You've got the Dogs, West Coast, Hawthorn, Geelong and Brisbane, so 3 top teams in there. The Doggies have yourself, Melbourne, Geelong and Fremantle there. Both teams will be penciling this in as a must-win game. It's going to be high intensity, Pez, but I think the Bulldogs are going to be too strong. You guys were really disappointing last week. I like the inclusion of Bruce, your mate. He comes back into the side as an elite forward. I don't like the exclusion of Norton's, but I do like Bailey Smith coming back in. And Pez, they spoke to him during the week. He's foaming at the mouth. He's foaming at the mouth. He's frustrated with his own performance.
He didn't say that, did he?
No, I just couldn't get the word out there. He's really disappointed with himself, and he's got a mission statement now. So he's ready. He's playing for keeps, Pez. He's locked in. I've gone my bonus bet from one of my losses last week, -7.5, straight on the Doggies with the $2 lines, Pez. So 2 units there.
Oh, $2 line, -8.5. So
-7.5, 7.5.
-7.5.
Yeah, sneaky one.
Oh, that's good because I got +8.5. You got -7.5.
Oh, we can both win. Yep, love
Okay,
it. All right, let's get on to the next game, Pez. We head over to Adelaide Oval. The Crows taking on Collingwood. 244 outsiders are the Crows. 154 the Pies after their disappointing performance against North Melbourne. -9.5 is the line. Over under 157.5. Pez, Collingwood, they struggled last week. Can they make a huge appearance at Adelaide Oval?
It's tough.
It's a tough game, this one.
And it's tough to have a look at this one because I was tipped Adelaide last week against Hawthorn. I thought they'd play better at Marvel Stadium, and they were very, very disappointing and couldn't bring it back together. So they're going to have a big crowd there. They're going to want to put in the effort. I can see Matt Crouch has been omitted again, so he's on his way to somewhere in Victoria, surely.
He played
at
well
the
last week
end
too,
of the season. I don't know how he's not picked in the side as a ball winner. So we'll see how they go. Shane McAdams a pretty good in for them. Darcy Moore comes back after that knee scare the other week.
That's a great in.
Taylor Adams injured, who's a big one, and Quaynor with the health and safety protocol. I've steered clear of this game just because of the danger of Collingwood playing away. You don't know, you can't really say what's going to happen. So I just don't like where the odds are sitting in this with Collingwood $1.50 odd and Adelaide out there. I can't really take them after they disappointed me last week. So steer clear for me. I won't be putting anything on this weekend.
I like Collingwood in this one, Pez. I've steered cleared in this game directly, and I've learnt my lesson of putting them outright to win as well as in my multi because it goes as 2 losses. I've included them in my multi because I think Collingwood, I like this one, $1.54. I think that's pretty good odds. They'll bounce back after last week. Adelaide, they're not very good. We saw that last week against Hawthorn. I think Collingwood, you match the 2 teams up, they've progressed a lot more. I think they get the victory in this one, Pez.
Take it.
I will. Thank you.
Well, next game is the Giants versus Brisbane, and Source earlier
I told you I can't talk.
Wrote off the Giants.
Yep. So Brisbane is playing the bye. 155 favourites are the Brisbane Lions, which is odd because they're not playing anyone at all. So normally that would be sitting $1.01, but this week it's sitting at 240, which is unusual. Minus 10.5 the line and over under 174.5.
Yeah. Now this for me, I have put a little same game multi together. Quietly confident in this one as well. I need your assistance to press a button for me as well there, Source.
Cheeky!
So this is quite cheeky. I've put both of my bonuses together from last week's, Source.
That is cheeky.
I've got 2 bonuses on Ladbrokes from the special, but they don't come out as separate bonuses that you can combine the cash. So I've put a 2-unit bonus stake, I guess you could say, at a $10.15 odds type go, and I do like it. Over 174.5 points. I think the Giants can score a lot more than they did last week at Adelaide Oval against Port Power there, and Brisbane need to come out and really win this game and try and make a bit of a statement to say, hey, we're still here, we're ready to go. So I've put Brisbane to win by 40 plus against the Giants here. Try and make a statement in New South Wales, and I rarely do this, put player props, but I put Charlie Cameron to kick 2+ goals because if they win by 40 plus, I think he'll kick 2+ as well. $10.15, that bonus unit on there to win plenty of units back if that gets up.
Yeah, Pez, totally with you. I think the bookies have completely got this wrong in terms of their overreacting from a team that was depleted by COVID last week. GWS Giants, why are we not reflecting on the performance they just dished out? They're absolutely disgusting. I am a man of my word, Pez. I'm off the Giants. I'm all over Brisbane here. 2 units, minus 10.5 on the line.
We do have to mention Phil Davis.
Yeah, it's a real shame. It's a real shame.
Career over, and you got to remember. You can just remember or think back to so many times where he's running in defence, and something happens, and it's usually to do with his legs. And we knew straight away he couldn't even walk properly. He had to get carried off pretty much with the arms around the trainers and that. And it's got to be career done.
Well, not career done, Pez. I think his playing career is done. We've already seen that he's been an absolute superstar in terms of the special comments and one of the expert commentator. I don't know about that expert player who is making comments on a TV show, Pez. One of the great insights was he was talking about his playing career while he was playing, and then also giving insight into those things, sort of like the Draymond Green podcast approach, where they're actually throwing shade at other players. Hopefully, he can continue that analytics side of things, and we wish him the best of luck, obviously, going forward.
Yeah, but sad times. He
was
really
one
of those 5 players that came across from Adelaide to GWS, and he's been a decent defender for a long time, but injuries have held him back to be greater than he could have been.
And he was part of the original side, wasn't he? The inaugural side.
Yeah, the one of the 5 that came across in that original GWS side.
Sorry, apologies for that. All right, next game we get on to is North Melbourne taking on Richmond. Patch Adams taking his first making his coaching debut as the interim coach for North Melbourne. North come in from $8. They're down to $6.50 now, Pez. They've already come in. That first debutant coach bump is obviously sitting there. $1.10. Favourites are the Tigers. Minus 44.5 is the line. Over under 175. Pez. The hoodoo of first coach, he gets the win, doesn't he? Patch Adams.
I wanted to speak about Patch Adams a little bit because do you just ignore it when you're writing your resume? Like interim North Melbourne, you probably don't put it on, do you?
Depends what you do. Depends if you're successful. Like
David Noble's not putting North Melbourne coach on his resume. His last job is going to be at Brisbane there in his role up there, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he stepped down. So.
So he can become the head of the AFL like Brad Scott.
Okay, well, Luke Walton, does he put that on his resume as the interim coach? He went through Golden State's record-breaking season.
Yeah, but you can pick and choose. You do put that on.
Well, he doesn't get any registered wins in that.
That's fine. But you put it on because you go, hey, look at this. But
Well,
if you don't perform good,
but I guess
if you had a part-time job somewhere, Woolworths or whatever, Coles,
yeah,
and you got the sack, you're not putting that on your resume.
No, we don't need to. You just put it's still experience though.
Yeah, but you can't put it on because if someone calls and they find out you're sacked for whatever reason.
If you're not putting your last references on there anyway, people are asking questions, Pez. But you know,
that's why you don't put it at all.
I stock shelves like an absolute champion, Pez. So even if I did get sacked, but you know what, Pez, I wouldn't have got sacked because I would have come to a mutual agreement with them that you know what, the aisle 4 was not where my best work could have been done, and I think that aisle 4 was better without me.
I'm going to step down. I'm going to take a payment.
Yes, I love the Woolworths analogy there, Pez. Let's get on to the game.
The other thing I like, Jason Horne-Francis coming in. I was impressed with him last week.
What a great coaching move. Putting that on one draft pick
in the VFL, actually interacting with some of his fans as well.
Nice little sign there.
Great to see. Tom Lynch has been injured as well. Castagna omitted. He's on the fringe at Richmond now, but they got a couple of big forward in.
Used to always be money for a goal, Castagna. Yeah. Always pop up.
Always, especially when they were flying. Josh Gibbous comes in as well, who is performing really, really well. I think Richmond get the job done here. No bets that I can find at the moment of value for me.
Yeah, I like this one, Pez, for the North Melbourne. I think the line is quite generous towards North Melbourne. I've gone with a 3-leg same-game multi, an alternate one. Obviously, with a new coach or an interim coach and all eyes are looking at North Melbourne, some players need to perform, Pez. And I'm looking at the captain, Zeeble. I think he's going to perform. For him to get 15 or more disposals, had 20 last week in that performance, he's paying $2.08. Which I think is great money. I think he'll get 15. I've gone over total game points, 158.5 Pez, so I've gone about 20 under in that one. And North Melbourne, alternate line, plus 60.5 bumped it up. That gives me 350 and I put 1 unit on it.
All right, we can take that. Hope Zeeble doesn't just play forward.
No,
goes up the ground a little bit.
They'll put all the kids that they've drafted forward who should be playing forward. They'll put them down there.
It seems like a blowout, in terms of odds. But this is a game I'm actually really interested in watching.
It's an interesting one, this one.
I really want to watch Davis Uniacke in the middle of the ground because he really impressed me last week. And I really want to see how Jason Horne-Francis manages all the talk in the last month about his career and what's happened. And I want to see him really go hard at that first contest that he goes to.
We'll see, Pez. We'll see it all unfold. All right, let's get on to Saturday night blockbuster, Pez. We're looking at first taking on 5th, Carlton taking on Geelong at Etihad, Marvel, Telstra Dome, whatever we want to call it. Marvel
the
Stadium.
MCG, probably.
Yeah, probably. 240.
It is.
Is it?
At the MCG.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, Pez. That's how good of a fan I am. I'm actually going to this game as well.
Lucky I told you.
Yeah, it would have been very awkward, wouldn't it? 240 favourites. 240 outsiders are the Blues. 156 favourites are the Cats. Minus 8.5 is the line. 160.5 points. Pez, I honestly think this is one of the ones that the Cats drop after a really convincing win. They build themselves up for the top first versus second. Carlton will be looking for a big scalp, and I think Geelong will definitely open that up.
Yeah, one thing that's impressed me about Carlton, and it's going to be contradictory of myself, is their defence with Wiedering in there. Lewis Young has been playing really well this season, but Plowman is the one that lets them down, I think, and costs them a few goals and makes some silly decisions, and they have lapses in games, and Geelong forwards can fire. So if Jeremy Cameron can do what he did to the Western Bulldogs or something like that, Geelong win the game. If Carlton can shut down that Geelong forward line, then Carlton are going to win this game with their midfield and how they go.
Yep.
We know that the ruck contest in this one isn't going to be like a Max Gawn, like superstar ruckman against somebody else. They're going to be two ruckmen just fighting out, battling out, Silvani coming in as a backup. So really looking forward to the midfield battle, but I'm more so looking forward to how the defence of both sides is going to take care of those big forwards. You've got Hawkins and Cameron down one end, and you've got Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow, who is in career best form and a great forward to watch at the moment. He's taking strong overhead marks, and his goal kicking has been amazing. So I don't have a bet, but this is game of the round for mine.
Yeah, and both, not only watching the forwards, Pez, but both teams having key players out of their defence as well. So, like, you're obviously, your second stringers are sort of, not second stringers, but like, your backups are playing on those number one forwards. It's going to be a real great game to watch. I hope it's an absolute shootout, Pez. I've gone something a little bit
Cheeky.
in this one, Pez. And do you know why it's cheeky? Is because it's not only cheeky, it's also...
Because
Cyril takes a special and goes bang.
you know why? Because you're not confident enough to bet on Geelong with your 2 units like you usually do. So you're just going, I have to bet on Geelong somehow. I'm going to go cheeky out here.
Pez, do you know why it's cheeky? I've gone... did you hear that second button, the special?
Yeah.
I've left one of the...
Sirioli for 5 goals.
I've left one of the specials out, and I didn't bring it up then because I wanted to have a showcase, and you've ruined it because of this. I found a gem, Pez.
And you didn't share it in the special?
Didn't share it.
Oh, my.
But that's why I've pushed the button now, telling all the listeners, they can jump on this. Bet Nation, you can jump on Fev's Fiver, and it is Geelong to win between 1 and 99 points. Max bet of $10, $5. Absolute gem. So I've put 10 on that one, Pez, as my cheeky.
What a cop-out.
What do you mean, what a cop out? That's a great bet.
I hope Geelong lose by anything or win by 100 plus.
Well, I hope we win by 100 points too, mate. Pez. Because you won't have to worry about that bet because I'll be buying premiership tickets. We'll be winning it. If we win by 100 points,
Wow. So there's
put my house on it.
a 0.4 unit out for a couple of units back in.
Hey, that's going to be a great.
That's good.
Sorry, Pez. You take that bet every single day of the week. You can get $1.56 favourite, the top team for $5. You take that.
Well, not $5 because if they win by 100 plus, you lose.
Please. Please.
No,
You're upsetting
I
Carlton.
like it.
You're upsetting Carlton fans by saying that.
If you think Geelong are going to win, and that's a great bet. It's a great bet if you think they're not going to win as well, because $5 you can't
$5
go past.
for a 50-50 game.
Hey,
Love it.
I'm not banned from Bet Nation actually. Maybe I don't even never heard of them.
They haven't got an app, but the verification process is super easy. There's a button that says verified, verified and unverified. You click the unverified button, and it says, "What's your name? Your date of birth? Oh, you're verified." So good.
They just might get the data from all the other betting apps.
Plus they gave me a if I put a bet in of $100, I would get $400 back of bonus bets for a first deposit.
We're going to need some compensation from these betting companies because they're taking up more than one page on my phone.
Yeah, one whole folder. Oh, Pez. All right, let's get on to another absolute classic, Pez. Fremantle taking on Sydney. This will be a great game, Pez, I think. 3rd versus 7th in this one. We head over to SBS Stadium. $1.50 for the Dockers, $2.50 for Outsiders, Other Swans. Minus 10.5 is the line. 157.5 is the line. Pez, we said that both these teams can't win premierships, but which team gets this battle win?
Look, I don't know, because Sydney disappoint you against bad teams.
They do.
But they sometimes perform against good sides. Fremantle coming off a win in Melbourne. They're travelling back. They'll be hyped up and about. I don't want to pick a winner just yet. Tom Hickey comes back in to play over there. Blake Acres is a big in for the Fremantle Dockers this week. But I'd probably lean towards Fremantle if I had to choose head-to-head. But I've gone something completely different. I've gone a Ladbrokes 3-leg same-game multi. My biggest leg in this is either team to win by less than 24.5 points.
Okay.
So
What's that paying?
1 to 24 margin. I can't remember off the top of my head what that is paying source, but it's close to around $1.75, I think.
Yep, lovely.
I've also gone another leg, either team between 1 to 39, just to put a third leg in there. And my other leg is under 188.5. Both of these sides historically known for their defence and defensive nature. Fremantle have shown that they can come out and score very heavily, but I don't think it happens in this game, and they shut the game down across halfback and that wing there. So I think that'll happen, and if either team wins by less than 24 points, it's $2.13. I'll put 2 units on it because I think it's going to be a close one, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a close game, Pez. I can't pick a side when you put them head-to-head. Fremantle coming back from a nice win in Melbourne against a contender, and I use the inverted commas there, Pez, one of those teams fighting for a top 8 spot. They'll be absolutely up and about, but that means Sydney will come to the game prepared. They had a great win against the Doggies last week. I can't split them outside of a home venue. I would be leaning towards the Dockers. I'm steering clear of this one, Pez.
Oh, you take that. That's good.
All right, Hawthorn taking on West Coast into our Sunday session. Pairs $1.14 for the Hawks, $5.75. Outsiders are the Eagles. -32.5 is the line. Over under 158.5. Pairs. I think this line's really low at -32.5, considering the way that they absolutely just dismissed Adelaide. The Hawks.
No, thank you.
I'm not touching it, but I just think it's still slow.
Nothing for me. It's a Sunday game as well, which I don't love, and just West Coast at the moment. If you can get a decent side against them, like Carlton at -14.5, -19.5, I'll take it. Hawthorn, who I don't really rate as a great side, 32.5, too high either way for me. So staying away from it, and it is getting past my bedtime as well. So hoping I can hit the pillow soon.
All right, Pez, obviously putting in a no bets for the rest of the round for Pez. We'll get on to the next one. I've steered clear for that one. Same sort of thing. It's I don't trust. I still don't back Hawthorn, but I think that line is small considering everyone seems to rate Hawthorn as
Which way do you
side.
think it goes in the betting in the next couple of days?
I think.
You think it's higher or lower?
Yeah, I think it gets higher. I think the line gets higher. I
Closes
think
around what, 35, 36.5?
probably 36 would be the higher end. Maybe 34. Probably 34 is more realistic where it's going to go.
Keep an eye on it. See how they go.
Right, the next one, Melbourne taking on Port Adelaide. $1.53 favourites are the Ds. $2.52 outsiders are Port Adelaide. -10.5 is the line. Over under 155.5. Pairs. The Ds, can they bounce back? They're in a bit of a slump at the moment. They have been over the last month or so. Can they bounce back against a Port Adelaide team that has come of age over the last couple of weeks?
A little bit of fire in the belly. Got a couple of key position players back Port Adelaide and going all right. But I really like this bet that I've put together because I think Melbourne can win and win 1-39. As I've said before, 40 plus for Melbourne against a side that I rate in the middle of the rung in Port Adelaide. I think 1-39 is a good bet there. I've also put them in an alternate at plus 20.5 just in case they lose, and hopefully lose between 1 and 20. And then over 126.5 points. Melbourne at home winning against Port Adelaide. If this is the other way, it's probably still the same bet if it's at Adelaide Oval for me. So 2 units on that at $2.49.
Love that.
And it's
Pez.
locking in early, which is rare for me on a Sunday.
It is really rare on a Sunday, Pez. I thought the way you were dismissive of the Sunday games, you were just going to throw nothing at the stumps. I've gone a 1 unit bonus bet, Pez. I think Port Adelaide can keep it close. I agree what you're saying. The 1-39 victory is probably where I'd be leaning if I didn't have a bonus bet, but I want to sort of put something together where I believe Port Adelaide probably can challenge Melbourne. I said to you earlier, I'm not fully invested in Melbourne as much as everyone else is. I've gone plus 27.5 alternate handicap for Port Adelaide and over alternate handicap 141.5 pairs. Just the 2 legs. I've got odds of $2 something. $2. What's that? $2.04. Sorry, I had a little graphic in front of it. Getting on to the last game of the round, Pairs. Essendon taking on the Gold Coast Suns. $1.94 outsiders are the Bombers. $1.90 favourites are the Gold Coast Suns. So only a slight margin there. The line is basically a pick and Pairs minus 0.5 and over under 172.5 pairs. Essendon had a great performance last week against one Queensland side. Can they back it up against the second Queensland side?
Yeah, it's a tough one to say at the moment because there's so many players that are good to watch. Isaac Rankin comes back in, which is great, which will be, watching this game on the Sunday afternoon there. It's a 4:40 time slot, as you said. So I think I can't pick the winner at the moment. What I can say is I think that this game will be very high scoring. So I think that the goals will flow. 2-metre Peter might kick a bag against his old side and Chol might pop up. Rankin can come in and I think it'll be a good battle of the forwards here. And if Stringer plays his best game for the season, they might win. But if he doesn't, then I think Gold Coast can get the win.
Yeah, I think that I think the bookies have this one wrong. I'll be honest, Pez. We're looking at Essendon's adjusted odds over their performance over the last month or so. They've played against a Brisbane side that was pretty depleted. They lost against West Coast only 3 weeks ago, and they beat
St Kilda.
They beat St Kilda, who has been up and down. They're coming against a Gold Coast side who's 1 in 3.
They beat the Swans as well.
Who did? Sorry.
Essendon beat the Swans as well.
In Melbourne, they were just focused on Luke Parker. But yeah, so it's 2 out of 4. 3 out of 3, was it 3 of the last 4? Yeah, so I don't trust the Bombers. Gold Coast have had a really impressive last 3 weeks. They took it up to Port Adelaide, were a kick away. They took it up to Collingwood, should have won it, and they finally got over the line against Richmond on the weekend. Huge victory. They'll come into this with confidence. $1.90. I'm steering clear in the actual game pairs, but I've put it straight into my multi, so that's why I'm talking about it. I've gone a 2-leg same game multi, $1.90 with the Gold Coast, and I've put Collingwood in there, as I mentioned. Put my $50 2-unit bonus bet on that. Just a 2-legger pairs for my my multi.
That's your multi for the week.
Done.
All right. I hate my multi for the week.
7 multis, have you?
No, I've only got the 1 because I actually hate it, but I had to go with the tab of 3+ legs. I found it really hard to choose 3 games here, Source, because you can't choose Richmond at $1.08 because it's not in the rules. You got to go $1.10 plus. I'm not taking Hawthorn over West Coast. So what I've done is I've actually gone a little bit cheeky. It's not my actual cheeky, but I'll put St Kilda in there to win at 2.35. I'll put Fremantle in there in the pick'em over there because of the home ground advantage at $1.55, and I put Melbourne on the Sunday. I'm pretty confident in that leg at $1.53, all up $5.57. I haven't put the usual 2 units on it because I don't love it, so I've only put the 1.
You got 4 units or something.
Just the 1. So listeners, don't love that multi, but
the rules say we have to have a multi for the week, and that's why you're following the rules for a change.
Follow along, but the punters don't have to have a multi if
no,
they
of
don't
course,
want to.
Of course, you only bet with what you believe in, or if you're, some of those other punters on the internet, you just back every horse in the race.
But hey, if I get the 3 green ticks here, I'll be claiming it. Don't you worry.
Of course you
about
will
that.
be. I loved my multi last week. That's why every week I say to your pairs, I'm like, tell you what, great bet slip this week.
Yep, and then you're always when you lose, very very disappointing and somber. So keep the mood
very rare, very rare.
Keep the mood happy.
Always happy, pairs.
I'll just give you a tip. In any of these games, 44 players hit the field. If you're going to go first goal scorer, don't put 44 units, 1 on each player.
No.
Because you're probably not going to win.
Just put 40 because there's at least 2 that are going to be on the bench, and you don't want to. There's 2 you can pick out of there that are guaranteed. The other 2 are a bit 50-50. You got a sub in there, so just put 40 down.
Look, first goal scorer, just stay away from it. In total, that's my advice anyway. I'm Pez. Peace out.
I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time, and as always, if you're having a punt, make sure you bet responsibly.
Now you're gone.